The All Smiling Faces podcast is now sponsored by Tyre Spot, the Northeast's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Always Smiling Faces podcast on the GallowgateShots YouTube channel. We are back just after Christmas, just after Newcastle have had the arses handed to them twice in a row, we could argue. But myself, Chris, your host tonight, joined by Decker, and Daniel's here filling in for Mark. You're in Mark's seat, so you're filling in for Mark.
Big boots to fill.
Very big.
Literally.
I mean, people are thinking, oh, he's lost a lot of weight over Christmas. Mark,
He's grown some hair.
He's been
Eat a turkey.
on turkey holidays. Boys, where do we start? Actually, before we do that, if anybody does have any questions, send them our way. We'll go through the rest of the show just answering your questions. So if you fire one in, we'll answer it as quickly as possible rather than the usual structure, what we do here. Decker, it hasn't been great, has it?
that's an understatement.
Yeah.
So I'm not getting undressed.
It looks like you're getting impressed.
Thought I can't look you there. Is it?
I know.
Till Christmas, is it?
Yeah, I think I wish we were meeting under better circumstances. I'm not going to lie. It's been, well, that on Boxing Day was probably the worst game under Howe in his tenure, I would probably say. And I think a lot of this is going to sound really negative, but I think I want to clarify from the off that no matter how negative we may sound, I sound coming in as I will. It's going to be bad this hour, by the way.
Sorry in advance.
It's going to be bad.
Happy New Year, everyone.
I absolutely do not want Howe gone. I don't want, I want to support the team and all the rest of it, right? I'm not even thinking about Howe not being here. But this next hour could be tough listening because there's certain things we have to be honest with and address, right? Like,
do you think it's a bit strange though? Because I've noticed this in the WhatsApp group as well, because our WhatsApp group has been quite angry the last couple of weeks, really, with people disagreeing and everybody has their own opinion and it's all completely different. But it feels like you have to start the sentence the same as what Decker just had, saying, before I say this, I don't mean I want Eddie Howe sacked.
Yeah.
It's crazy that we have to say that.
Yeah, I think it's we just live in that sort of time in general in society where you have to prefix anything you say with something else. It's indicative of Twitter, WhatsApp groups. If you're not speaking to someone face to face, where you sort of get the body language, you get what they're saying, you can just jump in and ask them questions. You've kind of got to lay your cards on the table a little bit first, just so that you don't come across as a bit of a mug or anything like that. And people are just quick to jump, quick to be angry, but also I think they are quick to try and make themselves look good by catching people out or tripping people up, and it's like,
well, on Twitter, I put something on yesterday after the game, right? And I put buckle up at the end. I was meaning like we've got some tough fixtures coming up, buckle up. Someone then commented back and went, well, I think what you should have said was buckle up, but by all means still support the Howe and support the players. And I went, well, that's what I meant. I wasn't saying not be aggressive towards them or hate them.
No, but how dare you, Decker?
Like,
how very dare you not say everything that you feel in that moment?
I should have put buckle up and put Eddie Howe. I was like, wow, you kind of win. Like, do you know what I mean?
But the thing is, if you put too much, people just post that like meme of the, cool, loved reading that. Yeah, I'm not agree with you or not, whatever. Whatever that meme is, people just post that all the time. So it's like, all right, well, just not bother.
But I think the other thing I think what we're going to talk about here is the certain players that I think have been hailed highly for a long time, right? Mm-hmm. And I think there's me and you, particularly one player, we always seem to have a go at, are probably going to come in with a bit of stick. I think, and rightfully so, because at the end of the day, listen, we've won one out of the last seven,
right?
I'll
tell you what, before we even touch on the Boxing Day one, let's just look at the Luton one straight away. And Deck had a famous phrase which we used to use quite a lot on this podcast was, Doctor Newcastle will see you now. Mm-hmm. The office is back open, the surgery
back in business.
Doors are swinging open.
Yeah. Now,
because it's been two in a row where teams have struggled to win games, to score a goal. It's back-to-back games now where Doctor Newcastle is booking them appointments in.
Yeah. Now, to be fair to Luton, right, that they have found a bit of form and they've took Liverpool, Man City, and Arsenal, actually, sorry, all of them really close. But you can't always just look at that, can you? You can't just go, oh well, they've took the big teams all the way. Like these two particular games we were going into, I was expecting a minimum of 4 points. I was hoping for 6, but I always try to err on the side of caution and go, well. But to come away to lose
0.
both is bad crap. Like, it's not great. And the Luton game, as you mentioned in there, obviously Townsend scoring was, I mean, God, and then we'll get on to bloody Boxing Day who scored. But again, the performance, it's the performances now that are worrying, right? There were certain times when we lost, and everyone talks about the away form where we lost games, right? But I still thought we played all right.
Yeah.
And you can lose games of football. That happens. But the problem is now is every week I'm watching the performances are getting worse, and then it's typified to what Boxing Day was. That was the worst performance. They don't seem to be getting better. I don't know what you think, Dan, but like I just think it's as
well. Dan, there's
bad.
been a lot of conversation. This is something which we had quite a bit when the bad run started, where people were saying, "But remember where we were 2 years ago. Remember everything which the lads done last season, right?"
Yeah.
Nobody's taking that away from anybody.
Aye.
But if we're living right here in this moment, it's not. It's far from good. It's poor, and the performances, like I said, we aren't even competing in some of these games.
I agree. I think in terms of
Remember, but I don't want Eddie Howe sacked.
No, I didn't want Eddie Howe sacked. Actually, I really don't. No, I think I'm going to try and bring more positivity to this. Not because I feel any differently. I was swearing in front of kids yesterday. I'm not proud of myself. But
all schools are closed.
You have a bit of time to calm down. And ultimately, I'm a total agreement. But I think it's a lot of the time we say things are bad. I always ask the question, right, why is it bad? Let's try and talk about that. In terms of just the point that you made about last year, 2 years, 3 years, whenever it was, and we're absolutely rubbish. For me, it's a case of just protecting your own sanity, your own mentality, not letting it, like, people let football ruin their lives. So for me, it's about when I think, oh, you know what, 2 Christmases ago, I was like nearly in tears because I'm like, we're going down, yeah. Every Christmas it's like, we're going to do. And this year it was, we might not finish top 4. So I think in terms of trying to just like take it in your stride, try and think about it logically, I think it helps mentally not fall into a pit of despair, to not ruin your Christmas, to not jump on Twitter and start making wild claims of how should go, bring Mourinho in and all this crap. So I think for me personally, that's why I'll think that way in terms of a debate about what's going on, how I feel about it. Then yeah, I think it's a waste of time talking about 2 years ago. In terms of why this has happened, I think there's multiple reasons. People are trying to put the finger on one reason. There's no one reason, and there's 3 or 4 different reasons. I think to sort of just bullet point them, fatigue's definitely a thing. It's a very scientific thing that has been researched to death. And fatigue and tiredness are 2 different things. If you don't know that, have a brief Google search. 2 very different things, tiredness and fatigue. So they are fatigued. If you've ever thought at any point that the players were fatigued, but then say it's no excuse for Luton and Nottingham Forest, it's not how fatigue works. It gets worse the more you play. There is, I mean, I think on this podcast, I think on other ones that I've listened to, I think every Newcastle fan, if you went, right, where do we need to strengthen this summer? Right wing, left back, CDM. We've got Lewis Hall, who hasn't played, he's played half an hour or something.
Which is his own question itself.
Yes. We didn't buy a CDM, we didn't buy a right wing. So all the fans knew that. They didn't buy the players. Obviously, we've got the injuries. And then I think the way that we've went out of competitions is affected confidence. So Milan being 1-0 up, no control of the game. You go out 2-1 to very, very preventable goals. There were shocking goals to concede them to Milan. You get through 93 minutes away to Chelsea. You go out on a penalty shootout. It's all of these things are compounding together. And Kieran Trippier made a really great point actually after the game where he said his standards have slipped. But the reason why, and I think it's probably one thing that I've not really heard other people talk about, is because of the schedule. They've not had any training. Like, one thing that people cannot argue is how good Eddie Howe is as a coach. I question certain things about his managerial ability to manage the game and things like that. But as a coach, he's absolutely outstanding. He is getting more out of those players together. They are greater than the sum of the individual parts. It's just undeniable. And when you consider that, as soon as you do start having one player get too tired or drop out, it's really hard to maintain those levels overall. I think it's important that everyone sticks together. It's not as bad as what it's been. We've been through far worse. but there's all of these different things that are compounding together that's just making everything really bad. But sorry, I sort of went off on one there. Kieran Trippier was saying because of the schedule, they've not had time to train, like tactically. They've not done a normal training session for 10 weeks because they've just been doing a game, cool down session, warm-up session, game, cool down session, warm-up session, game. They've not actually worked on anything. And you can see it on the pitch, like in transitions trying to defend, we look absolutely abysmal. You can see the presses all over the shop, and the players are tired, and the players are now lacking confidence. So I think there are loads and loads of reasons that are all coming together as one. And I think once New Year's over, I know that you're a bit nervous about that Sunderland game, but I think once those games are over, I think we'll be back to our best. It happened last year when we had the League Cup. We went on that little bit of a run where we're drawing games and not winning games, and we looked off it. Do you know when we had the League Cup to do the Wednesdays back to Saturdays, all that sort of stuff? It happened then a little bit as well. I think Eddie Howe needs to learn how to trust these players and rotate better. It's something that myself and quite a few others talked about in September, how you want to manage these games. You've got all these games in a row, and you had to add to them because you've got the Chelsea game, the League Cup, all this. The answer apparently was just don't change anything, just play everyone every minute. And that's been an issue. We are paying now for mistakes made, in November, basically.
Do you think, Dagger, Eddie Howe has his favourites with certain players? We've said that about other managers. I think Pardew had his favourites. Like Paul Dummett used to play every single game.
I think he does, mate. I think every manager probably does, right? Every manager will probably have his favourites, who he thinks can go out and do a job, who he's loyal to and sort of trusts to go out and do the job. And I think Boxing Day, and I appreciate I'm going to mention this game a lot, but starting Burn was absolutely ridiculous. Like, I mean, as soon as I seen the team sheet come out, I was sitting with my dad. We were having a drink before the game, and I was like, "What the hell?" This kid, I said, their wingers that are fast as that. My dad didn't know. My dad was like, "Oh well, it'll be alright, man." I said, "I did, like." And for me, if I'm not to play Tino, I thought Tino might have a knock or something, and that could be the case. But playing Burn was a strange one, and I think Burn's one of his favourites. And to be fair, there's a lot of he's done very well last season. You know what I mean? So there's no reason why I shouldn't trust him, and I get that. Yeah. But
so rather than using the word one of his favourites, is one of the players previously he was able to rely on.
Yeah, 100%, absolutely. And Burn's definitely one of them. And obviously Miggy's the other. But in fairness to Miggy, obviously we're gonna no doubt get into Miggy, and everyone's absolutely losing their mind. And I get it, it's horrendous, right? But there's no one else, man. There's no one else, because going back to what Dan said, every single man in the dog knew, well, I have to sign another right winger. I have to. But then you had at that particular time, remember, so a lot of people say, no, Miggy's class. How's got Miggy playing really well. He scored loads of goals, which he did. But I kept saying all the time, I don't believe he can hit them heights again. You know what I mean?
Like the famous purple patch.
Goodness me, that was some unbelievable football and goals he scored, and it's very difficult to recreate.
There is a question from Callum Lewis about Miggy, but he also throws in Isaac as well. Says, do we remove Almiron from the right wing and play Isaac in that position?
No,
I think if we're looking at that, then you're just making more problems for yourself. Yes, Isaac can do a job on the left hand side. I can't see him on the right hand side, but it leads back to the point of Almiron and how much he's underperforming, and fans are looking at him and pointing the finger.
Yeah, he's an unbelievable player. Like I don't mean that in like a good or a bad way. I just mean as in
frustrating.
Like, he is so good without the ball. He's so good without it, and then as soon as you put him with it, he's like a 9-year-old, and he cannot pass a ball 5 yards. He did hit a purple patch. I do believe he's better than what he showed in the last 4, 5, 6 weeks as well at the same time. For me, again, I am not Eddie Howe or an amazing coach or an amazing manager or anything like that. I'm just a normal divvy Newcastle fan. But for me, what I would have looked to have been doing was in the sort of 75, 80 minutes, even 70 minutes, 65 minutes, something like that, in games where we've maybe got a lead, something like that, take Miggy off and put Lewis Hall on the right wing, where if he does struggle, right wing's a position where you're not going to do much damage, but Lewis Hall, being a midfielder that's trying to convert to a defender, is going to know how to press, and he's going to know how to tackle, and he's going to know how to do the defensive side as a winger better than most other wingers in the league. We're already winning. We don't need a goal. It gives Lewis Hall a bit of playing time, but also it just rests Miggy's legs for 20 minutes. Miggy is absolutely useless if he can't run. And he's looked leggy in most games, but I think...
From the start recently.
Yeah. And I thought, actually, do you know, we'll get on to that, their first goal and his pass. But he won the ball. And he's actually worked really hard to get there. And you're thinking, yes, Miggy. Oh, my God, Miggy, what you just done. And with that, it's a case of, I think it's genuinely sometimes, I don't know if you've played much football, but when you can't breathe and everything blacks out and you try and pass a ball and you've got no blood in your legs, no blood in your brain, it just feels like Miggy is playing like that at the minute, where he's sort of running on autopilot and his brain isn't working. And if he could have been rotated, that's why I put in the group, I actually think Jacob Murphy's, but Nick Pope, people believe is the biggest absentee in terms of their injuries. I think it's Jacob Murphy, because without being able to rotate Jacob Murphy with Almiron, he's just absolutely dropped. Like, you played Jacob Murphy yesterday, I think there's a chance you go 2-3-0 up before they get another sniff.
You reckon?
Do you not think though that this is what always happens when a player's out injured, they just get better?
100%.
But I don't think it's a case of him saying...
I don't think Jacob Murphy makes us win 3-0. Like,
no, what I mean by that is, like, if Jacob Murphy picks up that ball, I just think he makes a better decision than Almiron based on fatigue, mental fatigue, not physical fatigue. Based on mental fatigue. I'm not saying Jacob Murphy's better now than what he was. What I'm saying is if during this running you could play Miggy one game, Murphy the next, Miggy one game, Murphy the next, Miggy one game, Miggy doesn't get as bad as what he is now.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So that's what. In the first half, I have to remember, I thought we were the better team in the first half. Yeah. They had one chance with Alanga and he messed up. He should have squared it with Wood and he might have scored 4. But other than that, they didn't really create much. It was their goal. Second half, they absolutely battered were. But the first half, we were the better team, created better chances, and I think
I can't remember their keeper making a save.
Their keeper,
I can't.
Yeah, but just.
And I might be wrong here. I'm not saying that to be facetious. I can't remember him making a save.
No, they had that Isak's header. I couldn't believe it didn't go in. Do you know
what?
Oh,
yes.
And then Miggy's gone in for the rebound, and then he's punched that away.
Yeah, good shout.
It was, but general, like, just
general
players were like, they didn't.
Yeah, we had a lot of the ball. No question about that.
Territorial, and again, it's. I think I saw someone on Twitter, and rightly saying, "Oh, frustrating." You know, Miggy's on his right, and you're just thinking, put that ball in. Someone's in there, and he's got to cut back. And then they get a chance to get back.
So this is what I was going to highlight next. I think we'll look at the Milan game where obviously the ball squared across to Miggy and he tries to play it with his left. The challenge comes in when really he should have just tapped it in with his right. Okay, he's got the confidence. We've defended Miggy quite a lot, Digger, saying that Miggy, there's a decent player in there. I think probably what Dan's saying is correct, that the fact that he's playing every single minute possible, every single minute. It is going to have an impact overall. But then you look at the game on Boxing Day against Forest there, then what he tried to do with his left foot in our own box by trying to put it out of play when the ball comes in a dangerous area. Yes, it's in a dangerous area. Any other player on that field, whether or not it's the weak foot or the strong foot, they smash that out of the box.
Any player I've ever seen play football in my entire... That's the moment that in front of about 15... kids are screaming F-bombed. I was just, because I still kind of believe, I still kind of believe it.
So you smash it, but he didn't. He tried to just, he had no idea of his surroundings.
No. So now, in his mind, right, he's maybe thought the safest thing for me is just to get this out for a corner. Do you know what I mean? It has happened where players might head it out for a corner. Does that make sense?
Which you would get if he was close to the far post.
Yes, I think
close to the byline.
Yeah. I do think he has lost his bearings. Yeah. I do think that definitely. Now I was at the end of the ground and I thought that happened in the moment, and I went, hang on, he's just saying scored an own goal, and I thought, no, I must have gotten that wrong. My eyes must be telling a lie here. And then obviously when I seen the footage, I was like, Jesus, that could have been an own goal, or certainly could have rebounded off him and went in. You know what I mean? That was absolutely terrible. Now a few other things. Obviously, I agree absolutely with everything you've said in regards to the multiple things that are causing a problem for overall. I also think teams have just sussed out. I really believe that.
Overlap on the right hand side.
Oh, it's gone. It's gone. Now, there's a couple of other things I want to mention about that. The right hand side of the field, Trippier, for me, in moments he is, but I don't think he's as high up the field as he used to be. And for some reason, and I don't know why, Fabian Shea is now deciding I can go anywhere I want.
In crucial moments of the game.
I'm not understanding this at all, like, because that has to stop. Like, that has to stop. Now, you remember when our back four was as strong as it was. You had Trippier would be the person that would be aggressive going forward, and Burn would slot in and become a back three. Shea and Botman used to stay where they were. However, I appreciate Shea had moments in the game where he would venture forward. That's fine, by the way. There's no problem. However, now I'm seeing him right wing, left wing, centre midfield. I don't understand what's going on. Like, and I honestly feel that. Listen, we can talk to death about not having a number 6, and Nottingham Forest cut apart multiple times.
Yeah.
One pass. But Shea's not helping either, by the way. Going on, not even without the ball, just going on these walkabouts. It's horrendous. And I do want to touch on the first goal as well. Sorry about them. This was the goal for me. I was fuming for the full of half time. I couldn't settle down. This is the 46th minute of the game here. There's 2 minutes added on. I'm sure it was 2 minutes. It's 46 minutes into the game. We're 1-0 up, and you've got the entire world in their box. What are you doing? Yeah. It's only happened a few weeks ago against Milan where we got caught. You've got to learn from that, and you have to manage the in-game better. I do not understand, and I appreciate, listen, you can all say if Miggy makes the better pass, it's 2-0. Absolutely, it's correct. But the problem is if he doesn't make the right pass, you cannot afford to have all them people forward. And Trippier should have absolutely wiped him out as well, by the way. He tried to give him a little nibble, but it wasn't enough. But to get caught like that in stoppage time when you're 1-0 up is unforgivable, in my opinion, anyway.
The defending by Shaw, anyway, was just unbelievable. To just let Chris Woods run off him. Yeah. Because Botman's dropped back to cut the far cross. Burns been caught out.
Burns horrendous. Burn goes so narrow.
Yeah. Burns' defense is identical to the Milan game.
At the same time, the Dane, as bad as it was, it's not really caused too much of the goal because he's not in a dangerous position to score himself. It's all about the cutback. And Fabian Schär's just went, oh, there's a ball. Sucked straight into it. You can't blame Trips because he's marking the lad on the back post. I appreciate you could have blamed him for not taking him out. You should have just taken the yellow.
It was surprising.
I think he did try to take.
Oh, he did.
He
did. He tried a little bit of a nibble.
Yeah, you need a bit more of a nibble, bit of a bite.
Yeah, you got to take him out. Did you take him out?
Yeah, and then I've absolutely no idea what shows it. For me, Cher and Miggy, the pair of them. But you're right. I think we have to have players in the middle that identify danger. That go. We've got 5 players forward. That's it. You don't need more than that.
When we lost that ball there, right? I've watched it back so many times. Bruno, Millie, apologise. Some guy in front of me could call him Millie as well. That's what all the time he'll go on Millie. I was like, Millie. Anyway, I've just said it as well. Miley, Bruno, they were all in the box in the long side, and they didn't have the energy to get back. And you had Trippier in that moment in centre midfield. That was it. There was just Trippier. That is insane. A minute to go before half time. That is insane. And there was another thing I wanted to mention as well, and I've totally forgot. You keep talking. And I'll come back.
Try and remember. We have to. It was the Milan situation as well, where we're trying a 1-2 in the box with the centre back, and no one's thought, wait there a minute, I need to just sit. Right, go for it.
So sorry, mate. The right hand side, right? So we all know this triangle football we're playing, all this, right? That's gone, right? Teams have sorted that out, and so be it. We're still, by the way, are trying to do an extra pass, and actually maybe another pass. And actually, I'll have another pass. Hit the ball. Yeah. Shoot. How many times?
Put the ball in the box.
God. Well, sometimes we're in the box and we're still looking for this extra pass. And then the other problem you've got on the other side, Gordon's not fully fit, right? The sharpness is gone.
That.
Yeah. And there's another problem that's happening right now. I credited him for this, right? And early on, as soon as I say this, you're going to go, yeah, you did. I used to love the way you would take a touch and come inside. It was almost undefendable. You would come inside. I feel now, that's all he does. Yeah. He keeps coming inside and he marches across the field. You know what I mean? Just going, and he plays some lovely balls out wide. Don't get us wrong. I'm not saying the bad passes, but you're losing what he's just running sideways now. He just runs sideways. He collects the ball, runs sideways because their team are bringing back their right winger or maybe even their centre midfielder, and he kind of go down the line. So he's coming inside over at the right hand side. Do you know what I mean? He's just nullified him completely. Now to flip this. Isak, to be fair to Isak, was really getting at them in the second half. Terrible right back
when he got moved to the left-hand side.
He did really well, I have to say that. But Gordon, I just think, maybe lacking a bit of confidence, a bit of fatigue. It's just that actual sharpness, because Gordon can be, electric.
He looks like he's running through treacle.
He got caught the ball so many times.
Especially,
he did so many times. I love Gordon, by the way.
Getting chased back. And of course he is, because he's just not getting rotated. He's just playing every minute of the day. Like, just even if you take him off after 70 minutes, which, like, put someone else up there. If you need to put Hall on or Livramento to defend from the front, if we're a pressing team and intensity is our identity and we press, that is what we do, and that's the only way you want to play. Just legs are worth more than talent at this point. And also, I think
again, you could say it with but Miggy though, like, I agree with what you're saying, but goodness me,
Miggy still doesn't quite have the legs even for Miggy. Like, that's his problem.
I think off the ball, obviously, you kind of criticise him. It's just that final decision making, and it is difficult because their game plan was, we're going to suck up the pressure here and we're going to hammer you on the break, and we just never. This is the problem when you have someone like Miggy where he just puts his foot on top of the ball. He hasn't got the ability, has he, to find that pass? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he hasn't got the ability to find a 5-yard pass.
Yeah,
against Fulham, you had one chance to just an easy ball. I'm talking people watching this podcast can pass this ball, and he's just give it straight to the centre back, and it's just unbelievable how poor the quality is.
The reason why it was the first time I've watched it right on the how where I didn't really know what the game plan was. So disjointed, the between defence and midfield, that was so disjointed, and it felt certainly in the second half. I'm going to mention his name, like the Maxi days, where it was, we'll just get it to the left hand side and hope he beats everyone in the field.
Yeah.
That was the game plan.
But this time relying on Isak.
It was Isak, yeah. And it was just, if you can beat 3 men, mate, we've got a chance here. And you're never going to, in a Premier League game, you're never going to hurt the opposition, like, and we never did.
It was just so frustrating to see how quick and how dangerous they looked on that counter-attack. And like you said, Dagger, we looked an absolute shambles at defending throughout that. And midfield was non-existent. Like, everybody knows I love Longstaff to bits, but he just went completely missing in that game. No way.
I honestly forgot he was playing.
Exactly, but then you look at Miley,
and
we're looking at a 17-year-old to pull us through this.
He was excellent.
Like, mental.
He was excellent.
Like a 17-year-old lad that's only just made his debuts and doing very, very well, let's be honest. Yeah. But we should not be relying on him to get us through this mess.
Absolutely right.
He wouldn't even be playing that many games if Tonali didn't get his ban.
Exactly.
And Willock wasn't injured.
I think to try and be positive, because I feel I've just ranted for how long it's been.
You need to get out. It's cathartic.
Miley was. It felt like he grew as a player even more in that game. Because God bless him, no doubt he plays a simple pass quite often. You know, like the games I've watched, he gets the ball, spins, passes it, someone else's job. He was physically driving the team forward with the ball. Some wonderful dribbling in and around the box and trying to get forward. Honestly, I thought he was excellent. I really did. He was the one shining light of the performance was him.
He feels like a home player, Miley. Like, he looks. I don't think he looks up to it away very often. PSG aside, when he didn't have much of the ball anyway, I think he struggled away when I watched him.
I thought he was unlucky against Luton to get pulled off. Well, everyone likes to get pulled off, but he was unlucky to get taken off.
The goal, wasn't he? And we need to change something. But it was. I know people say quietly, he was at fault for Milan's first goal as well. For the same thing. Asleep on his shoulder, someone runs in at the far post and knocks it in. So that's something he's got to learn. He's 17. He's got 100,000 things to learn. But I just think generally he struggles a little bit away. At home, he looks like our best midfielder. But I thought he was outstanding against Fulham as well. And yeah, we're lucky to have him, to be honest. Like, he looks like he's going to be like a genuine top footballer for a long time.
He does some talent.
Like, he looks fantastic. He really does.
He was brilliant yesterday. Like,
His pass to Isak was. Also, Isak was so clever as well. That touch was just mugged the defender off. I know people are like, "Oh, is that soft pen?" Which probably was.
It was,
but you'd be raging at your defender because that defending's lazy. Stick a leg out. What you doing? Just drop back with him and challenge from there. He's went. Oh, he's. Can't be. Oh, stick my leg out. You deserve everything you get if you stick your leg out in the box.
It was a lovely pass from lovely
pass.
He was involved in any good moment.
I thought Isak played well. I generally thought Isak played really well. I think him and Miley were the two.
I think we'll have to touch on how easy it was to man mark Bruno. And as soon as Bruno's cancelled from that game, everything goes to shit.
Yeah, there's no plan B.
I think there's not, and that is a worry for me, honestly, right? And I mean this, and again, this is not me figuring out how. I've had to do it again, haven't I? Like, but there is no plan B. Like, we're set up 4-3-3. Everything goes down the right hand side. These pretty little triangles, and if that doesn't work, we ain't got much else for you. And that is factual. I'm sorry, that is factual. We have no other. We have no other option. No real,
at this moment in time. Yeah.
To be fair, against Forest, we had the plan B of, as we've already mentioned, give the ball to Isak on the left wing,
Yes.
skin 5 players and give the ball
Yeah.
away.
Now, I will say Gibbs White I thought was tremendous.
He's great.
He
He's a
was
great player,
just
though. Very good player.
Wonderful player, and he was excellent. And, Bruno was getting frustrated, but you look at the Fulham game, and I sat, and I'm not criticising Bruno at all for yesterday, but Boxing Day, was it yesterday? It was yesterday, wasn't it?
Yes,
It was, bloody
yeah.
hell. You look at the Fulham game, and he was the one that dragged us through the game, right? And I thought, yeah, God, if something happens to Bruno, I don't think we'll ever win again. And I mean that as well, because I don't, like, there's so many, I was screaming at Longstaff on Boxing Day where Shea's getting the ball, I'm Botman way, and they're coming forward and they're looking. Longstaff never moved an arm, never moved anywhere. He didn't want the ball at all. Someone has to come and get the ball, like, lads, you know what I mean? It was normally Bruno, bless him, or Miley, to be fair, that would come deep and ask for the ball, you know what I mean? Longstaff didn't want it. And in terms of if you think in the team creativity-wise, I mean, you ain't got much, have you, really?
So, do you think, though, because obviously we have been missing Joe Linton for the last couple of games as well, though, that's a huge loss as well.
Oh, massive.
Joe being out of midfield.
Massive.
I think Joe Linton and Willock both being out's an absolute nightmare, because Willock's a player that'll drag you 30, 40 yards up the pitch. Sometimes he's also, in my opinion, the most creative central midfielder we've got. He's the one that will actually try that Lewis Miley pass. He's the one that'll try and skin someone and knock it through to the box. And he might not get it right, he might get it wrong sometimes, but Willock's the one that generally tries that. For me, we need to get Bruno higher up the pitch. He's a bit of a liability in the 6 out of possession. Even in possession, that Liverpool goal outside of the boot, he gives it away and no one's there. He's better. Fulham, that second half, he played higher, didn't he?
He did, yes.
And he absolutely dominated.
Brilliant.
And I think it's there for everyone to see that he was just so much better there. Yeah. That's obviously what we need to address. Joe Linton is perfect for a game like that. For me, I question Joe Linton against great midfields. I don't think he's there yet to play against that bracket. Anyone else, he's a total difference maker in midfield. For me, again, personally, I would have brought him on half time and I would have put him on the left wing because that's where he got his goals last year pretty much. And I think even when he bagged against Spurs, that would moved him up the pitch, hadn't would brought someone else on and sent him in, would moved him up. Shock horror, he gets a goal. He is very creative off the left side, and we just looked spent. So I
was stunned,
again,
in the second half there was no subs, like when the same team come out, I was stunned, like, because I thought there would have been a change, and then them should have scored the second half started. The second it started, I didn't even start doing. I was just walking back my seat, and I was like, well, that should have been a goal. Like, we didn't even come out at all the second half.
I think we're going to have to touch on what's been quite a big talking point in our WhatsApp group as well, and it's all over social media. It's a goalkeeping situation. It was on NUFC.com this morning, and Matty put it in our group, saying that it feels like Nick Pope is the biggest loss out of everybody, which we've obviously lost due to injury, suspension, whatever it may be. If we look at the results since Dubravka came in, the first game was against Everton. So it's a 3-0 defeat at Everton. Then you've got a 4-1 defeat to Spurs. AC Milan defeat 2-1. Then you get your 3 points against Fulham at home. You lose against Luton. Then you lose against Nottingham Forest. Is it just coincidental now?
Yeah. I don't think... no, I'm not saying that Pope isn't amazing. I'm not saying Dubravka is an average. I'm not saying either of those things. But, I mean, the Luton game, for me, Martin Dubravka was the only one that turned up. Like,
he had a good game.
We actually could have conceded 3 or 4. Everton was his first game back, like, allow it. He also kept a clean sheet away to Man United. And people are saying, oh, should he come in for Pope? Because Pope had dropped a couple of clangers earlier in the season. I also thought, like, yesterday, he didn't cover himself in glory for the first or third goals. But, I mean, all right. Like, what? I don't know what he's meant to do. The second, he has to do better. He turns his head away from the ball. It's an absolute shambles. Like, that's a disgrace from a goalkeeper. I'm getting paid thousands a week to turn your head as a shot comes out. You're paid to stop shots. Look at you're never going to save a shot if you're not looking at the ball. So, yeah, that one annoyed us. But generally, when I'm looking at the goals, like, against Spurs, like, it's the defender's fault. Like, Trippier twice, Lascelles at the front post. There's, like, and people have got tap-ins. And yeah, Nick Pope's an unbelievable shot stopper, and he is class, and he's way better than Martin Dubravka. But I also think, like, what are people wanting from Dubravka in this situation? Like, he's getting a lot of stick. He was getting stick yesterday. I just thought, this isn't his fault. This is, like, the defence playing terrible. This is our midfield having zero energy. This is us not being able to press from the front, which we've always done, and we have no idea how to do defend in other areas. Like, we are a bad team when we try to have a low block as well. It never works out well. We always concede.
So this is a question which we were asked a few weeks ago now, Derek, on the podcast when Pope was first injured. And us at the time, I don't think we'll miss Pope as much as what people were anticipating. I was wrong.
Well, I was massively the other way.
You were the other way.
I
yeah.
thought it was a huge loss.
You were bringing every bugger in.
Yeah, honestly,
from the
like
Sun. I think you were signed to here and Ramsdale.
yeah, like it's
Ramsdale's terrible.
it's a huge problem losing him. Like, because you had the best defense in the league last year, right? And, well, we're very strong back four. You're a back five, and Pope, organising. And I still think I'm not so sure that the back four maybe trust him as much. However,
That's fair. That is a fair point.
I don't think they do. I wouldn't. But and I just there is a lot of goals. Listen, there's a lot of goals he's conceded where there's not really much he can do. I will be fair there, right? But is it a coincidence? I'm not so sure. Like, I'm not so sure. I didn't hardly see him make a save. He just picks a ball in it. Like,
Nice.
he made a save yesterday, but I think I could have made that where the played it. Well, he should have done a lot better, the lad. He should have squared it, like, and he tried to bend into the corner, and he made a decent save.
Yeah.
He made a decent save. But I honestly, every single game I remember when Pope was in, Pope was never quiet. Pope always had he saved something with his legs. A big moment in the game where Pope would save her, and then we might go on to win. I'd honestly just feel, this is just my opinion, that if they throw on goal, it's going to be a goal. Like, I have no confidence.
I would like to. I don't have them to hand, but I would like to see the stats of how many shots that we've had a goal in the last handful of games compared to, let's say, the last 5 games compared to the 5 before that. I think we'll be shocked by that. I think they'll be quite high, the shots that will be coming out with.
Oh, well,
down to individual mistakes.
probably, yeah.
You look at his first game against Everton, and
Yeah.
you've got Trippier making 2 mistakes where Dubravka's like, what's he going to do? Like,
Yeah. No,
Again, up until that point, I don't think he had a terrible game. Like, again, it's not like Pope against Brighton. Is that just not on my memories anymore? Like, keepers make mistakes. Like, Pope was awful against Brighton, but he's made mistakes in other games. Again, in the same breath, I've not once went, we need to get rid of Nick Pope. Like, Nick Pope's a great keeper. He's very undervalued, underrated. I think at times just because he makes these mistakes. We all question, is he good enough with his feet? All those sorts of things. I think it's normal to have that sort of discourse. Obviously, I agree. There is a drop-off. Of course, there is a drop-off between Nick Pope to Dubravka. Like, it's just so clear to see.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes down to maybe erring on the side of blaming him for the result or anything like that, I no chance. We are losing every single one of those games that we lost if Nick Pope's in goals.
I agree.
Like,
the one thing I do want to highlight with Dubravka, his decision making at times is horrendous. He just starts charging for the ball when you know I'm looking at it thinking you're getting nowhere near this sunshine. You done it yesterday at one point.
and
the ball came back in.
How they didn't
exactly,
score.
they didn't capitalise on it. But
yeah.
he's poor.
Yeah.
It could have been 5 or 6 yesterday.
know.
Could have been 5 or 6. Honestly, that's being kind. That them battered us yesterday. Like,
It's that second half, wasn't it?
God, so that second half though was like the Pardew days. When it
It's a flip of what we normally see.
No one seemed to know what to do. What was nothing. Just it was that second half was
You expect
so.
Willems to jump on the pitch and stop playing in centre midfield,
Yeah.
wouldn't you?
It was really, really bad. And I've said for a while I don't want to use the word worrying. As I've said it a few times, it was because I think if you say it's a worrying performance, it sounds like, oh my God, this is really bad. It's bad
Yeah.
long haul. And I've kept saying I don't know use that term, but that Boxing Day was a worrying display, right?
It's not just one display though, Digger.
Well, no, it's
It's
been
that
many.
run of form now.
No, it has, and I've tried not to use that term because worrying sounds as if like, oh, we're fucked for the rest of the season. But Boxing Day, I come away from that thing. Wow, like, where do you start to put that right? You know what I mean? Now, listen, if anyone can, how can? I'm telling you,
And it's a week
100%.
now.
And
It's a
yeah,
week that
100%.
lads
He can do it.
I think for me, the cause of, I think people's problems as fans in our heads is that we've got Sunderland. Let's be honest. That's the build up here, isn't it? Sunderland's a big game.
I'm not. Do you know what it is? I'm not even just looking at that. I'm just looking at January, because you look at January and those fixtures coming up. Oh, if we can't get a result in the performance against Luton and Forest, I'm worried about January.
So
See,
we've got
I'm
Liverpool, Sunderland, Villa, Man City. Is that correct?
It's a bad run.
It's
It's a bad run.
bad isn't understatement.
But
I'll let you know that the next fixtures we've got Liverpool at Anfield. We'll then have Sunderland in the cup. We'll have Man City. We'll have Villa.
What's the have you
Then
seen
back
the
to Luton.
have you seen the dates on between the City and the Villa game?
So between City and Villa, you play City on the 13th of January. Then you've got the break. Then you've got Villa on the 30th.
Right. So again, I think I posted the photo in the chat. So I posted ages ago. I actually screenshot in September, posted into a Twitter group. Lads, what we're going to do about this run of fixtures. And it started at the end of November. And I think on that sheet, there was 11 games in 30 days or something insane. Yeah. We had to add games to that because of the Chelsea League Cup game as well. It was mental. And I said, I'm worried about every single one of these games after the first 3 or 4. Purely down to like, even Decker, you love Football Manager. What's going to happen on Football Manager? You play the same 11 for that amount of games in a row. You're going to lose every game.
I have to use the editor to put them back to football. Yeah. I totally get the point.
For me, that was a run I was always concerned about. Other people should have been concerned about it. The Premier League's a tough league from top to bottom. If you are at anything below, in my opinion, 90%, and you want a world class, you want Man City, then you're drawn and you're losing games. That's just an absolute fact against anyone, especially the fact that everyone's just an athlete now. It doesn't matter how good you are on the ball if you can't get it, or if people are running off you. And during that run, towards the end especially, just because they aren't two great teams, and also Forest might have had a new manager bounce and all that sort of stuff. They've got a new gaffer, and they looked rejuvenated. They looked better.
Got beat the week before, though, in his first game.
Yeah, but that sometimes happens. Also, he probably wasn't really in and around the ground or whatever. He's probably just been there for like a day or whatever.
I agree with your point, though. They've played, I think there was 12 games in 30 days. We're going to play 4 in the next 30.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is tremendous news to me. That's amazing.
We get to have actual training sessions. We get to work on the shape. We get
does that worry you at all, them comments at all? Like when he said that I was stunned, me personally. Now I sat here last season and said I know that the training sessions won't be the same because you've got a shorter week. We might not be able to do certain things, but to say, I don't know, I was a bit stunned at that comment.
I was very surprised to say that I had 0. And
I think awful,
you imagine if Bruce had said something like that?
Well, I think the issue is you've got how are you meant to when you've got 16 players injured? Like who you play against.
Well, it doesn't mean you've got to train with the ones you've got, though. Surely, you just got to
but the level of training I think that you can do in terms of maybe what they want to achieve in terms of shape, you need people to play against. So they're going to bring the kids in or whatever. Like that's not proper training. But I think
so Tripp said it was like cool down days and things like that were happening, wasn't it?
Yeah,
like
which you need to recover.
Yeah, of course you do. Right?
Otherwise, you're just going to be knackered for the next one.
Well, to be fair, a lot of people are saying this is what I'm not saying he said this because I'm just saying a lot of people thought Eddie Howe's training sessions. I bet they are high intensity, high energy. Is that why they're so knackered? Because we're playing so many games and then they're expected to train the way Eddie wants them to train. Well, that clearly hasn't been the case, right? So everybody was wrong that thought that.
To be fair, there was a number of journalists saying that Eddie Howe, what you see Newcastle match day is what happens behind the scenes as well.
And I would believe that. 100% I would believe that. Clearly that hasn't been the case, though. Clearly,
recently, no.
They haven't been trained, apparently. Yeah. Well, cool down to warm-ups and all that.
Hopefully. Well, I think it's something where when you've got a young player...
They've been doing tactical work, though, like getting them in a room and going, right, lads, this bastard here.
This is where you went wrong as well.
Surely. You know what I mean?
There's a difference between...
Mickey, don't score on that goal.
Mickey, right foot.
I think there's a difference between obviously watching the telly and saying, right, he's going to try and do this, he's going to try and do that, and then getting out there and working on your shape every single day, like Diego Simeone, because that's obviously a lot of where we sort of got our shape from with Trippier and how went over there and all that sort of stuff. They do it every day. I think when you've got a young player, you give them time, don't you? No one's expecting Lewis Miley to be the best player on the pitch at all. Everyone, he gets a break because you expect him to learn, and there's a certain threshold of an age where you go to and you go, right, what are you now going to deliver? I think Eddie Howe's obviously been a manager for a good amount of time, not like super long, but a good amount of time. But he's never had to manage at this level before, ever. And I think it's really important to afford him the opportunity to learn from his mistakes.
Yeah, of course.
100%. Oh, isn't. And again, I'm going
to... I can't believe you're saying all I've heard all day is Mourinho in.
Oh, well...
That's in the comments quite a lot.
Little magpie and all that. And it would be romantic, I can't deny. But listen, no, I don't want that at all. And I agree with everything you're saying. All I'm saying is when I'm just going to be very honest when I say this, right? I had just watched the worst performance in his 102-game tenure, if that's what it is. And he said, it was almost there. Or something, didn't he? What did he say? It was almost...
No, he said the first half was almost there. He said the second half was... He said the second half was bad. He said the first half was almost there.
It was close, though. It was almost there. And we haven't really trained properly.
We're poor in the final. He said the first half was almost there. We controlled the game well. We're poor in the final third, which is what's let us down.
Which we always
And then to concede that goal was bad, and then he said the second half. I don't know what he said because he was too busy shaking his head, so he felt the same way.
Yeah.
But I think he said the first half was almost there.
bit?
I haven't seen them.
I
As
was
soon as that
surprised,
match
like-
finished, I was gone, mate. Like,
Yeah, which I get.
Emotionally, mentally.
no thanks.
I think I was driving home at
Christmas
the
is
time, and I
ruined.
just thought,
Do you know what is? I just want to address a couple of comments which are coming through in the chat, and these are comments that we've seen before, where fans will jump in straight away and say, "Well, the likes of Villa are playing European football. Villa do not have 12, 13 players injured.
Also,
that's the difference.
Villa aren't playing PSG, Dortmund, and Milan in the Champions League. They're playing. Without googling, what are the three
no,
teams
you're right.
Villa
Couldn't
played
tell
in
you.
the Conference
You're
League?
absolutely right.
So they're not. So the players that are playing are not playing at anywhere near the same intensity. They are not playing under anywhere near the same pressure. But also, they can afford to rotate the players anyway.
Exactly.
So nonsense.
There's also a comment in as well, and I just want to address this as well because it's been mentioned a couple of times about our training setup and basically saying Eddie Howe and the coaching staff are at fault for the injuries which we have received.
okay.
There is a broken foot, there is 2 dislocated shoulders, and 2 broken backs.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how training
What
causes
I would
that.
say though is Cher getting subbed off against Fulham with muscular injuries, Joe Linton muscular injury,
Isaac.
Isak's muscular injury. We've had some
Murphy-
other.
Murphy just
Willock's Achilles is absolutely awful. From anyone that's ever had an Achilles injury, it is really hard to shake. And I
It's
think
a
I
shame,
put in the
him
group chat,
breaking
I was
down
just
the
like,
tough
oh,
one.
he might be fit, he'll not be playing properly for 2 more months. Now he's playing 90 after 90 after 90. He's like, his Achilles is going to go again. It'll flare up. There's
the Murphy one having a dislocated shoulder and come back after 10 days.
that's yeah,
Insane.
so exactly.
I
Sorry,
think
that's
that was
insane.
addressed once. I think it had been addressed because I think it was brought up at one of the press conferences, and Eddie Howe said mistakes have been made.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah,
that's probably
so-
what
And
he
that
was
could be from
referring
his
to.
medical. 'cause
Look, there's
he
been
got,
some-
He got interviewed on the game before this one, and he said like that's up to the medical team. So clearly that medical team are giving him advice, and we believe he is fully fit.
yeah.
And Eddie Howe was then choosing it. Now I'm sure Joe Linton had said, "I apologise." When they had a conversation, Joe Linton had said, "I'm fit to play, Gaffer."
Of course, a player's always
I know.
going to say they're
And Howe
fit to
played
play.
him. I think he lasted an hour, or whatever it was. You know?
Yeah.
And I just think sometimes, and I get we need bodies on the field, but at the same time, it's not the detriment to lose them for another 5 weeks or 6 weeks. You know what I mean?
There has to be accountability. Again, very basic science. Loads of literature has been written about it. Fatigue is one of the major causes of injury. Now, you bang on. There's been some just freak injuries, of course there have. But there's also been quite a lot of muscular injuries. And most of the time, they're down to fatigue. In playing players 90 minutes after 90 minutes or 87 minutes, like what's the difference? Take them off after 70 minutes. You have to be able to trust other players. But I feel like when we've got a lead, sometimes we are so scared of losing the game instead of confidently winning it. Sometimes, and we have to be 4-1 up before you'll make loads of subs. Fulham made loads of subs, didn't we? Because we're 4-1 up. 4-0 up, whatever. It's like, all right.
Yeah, no, it's true, and I think when you can look back and there was 5 or 6 games where we've played the same 11 players, and even though I did say there was just a few games where I thought I don't know who you would bring on, but Dummett was still on there. You could have probably played centre half.
Hall, Richie,
There
there's a few.
was people
We
on
beat
there.
Man United 3-0 away. I know that they didn't have their strongest team, but their team was still way better than ours.
Yeah.
And we had Dummett on the field. We had Kraft playing. We had Richie playing. Like
Target
Emil Kraft.
started,
I obviously Target got
Kraft's
injured in that.
Kraft's
but-
another tough loss. Well, because he got that knock against Chelsea, didn't he?
but Kraft should have been playing
Is he not back on the bench
weeks
now?
before.
He was back.
wasn't
He was. Yeah. He
Kraft,
was. Yeah.
Kraft should have been playing games weeks before.
I agree.
Like Trippier had to fall apart.
And we've been big fans of Kraft, haven't we? Like when he had that run of games.
Brilliant,
Previously,
brilliant.
he's always done
It was
well.
unbelievable against
Apart from
Fulham.
when he first signed, there was a couple of iffy moments in there.
Oh,
but when he
Under how?
Under
great,
how,
yeah.
basically.
Under how he's just been amazing.
And I think it just comes back to he's an unbelievable coach. Like he just
He
needs
is,
to
he is.
learn how to manage the games.
It's just funny though, isn't it, when you're sitting there as a fan, right, and I knew, we don't address them getting through the midfield as easy as they're getting through. We're in big
Yeah.
trouble. Second half started, it got worse. It got even worse.
We've got 2 of them there as well on the
And
sideline.
Burn, I never said doing and Burn, oh my God, he was getting rinsed time after time after time. And I thought, you have to change it here, mate. Second half, no. The first second of the second half, straight doing that right wing again. I think, right, now we'll change it. That's just what surprises me a little bit, if I'm honest.
I just want to quickly jump through some of the questions because there was quite a few questions. We'll go for another 10 minutes. So the first one is from Josh Stockton, who sends in a donation as well. Thanks very much, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
He says, "Hi lads, hope you had an amazing Christmas.
Belter.
He says, I hate asking this, but do you think Eddie Howe will be under pressure for his job if we lose the derby? He also puts in the caveat, which you have to do these days.
That you
have to
do
put the
want
caveat
Howe
in
out,
there.
you want Hansi Flick in.
He says, I love him. I want him to stay long term, but football these days is cruel. I said this in the group yesterday or this morning that, yes, as football fans of Newcastle United, we appreciate everything that Eddie Howe has done, what all the players have done, and we want to see Eddie Howe stay here for a long, long time and be the manager that brings silverware to this football club. We all want that. Categorically, we want that. Above us might be a different story.
Obviously, football's a fickle game. Sorry, Daryl, been cheating, but had the pleasure of speaking to Amanda Staveley on the way back from Milan, and her exact words were, "We just adore Eddie," and I just feel like it's such a strong statement to make. And obviously, there are going to be more important people than Amanda making some certain decisions. That being said, they seem restrained so far with transfer business. That don't seem to be knee-jerky in any other departments. There's no evidence from this particular management group that there'd be knee-jerky in this sense either. And I think they are
got to
clever.
look at financial fair play as well. If
Exactly.
you sack your manager, there's the payout, and you've got to bring
another manager in.
and coaching staff.
One of the big questions is, who do you bring in? I've not heard really a decent name yet in terms of who you would want to bring in that's actually available, or that you could coax away from their club. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But also, I think that's the question: which other manager would have done any better than Eddie Howe during this situation? I think you probably get about the same. You maybe win some. I reckon another manager probably would have won maybe the Forest and the Luton games, but lost against Man United at home or whatever else. Lost games that were won. So it's tit for tat. Like, what is someone else going to do? And I think they're smart enough. I actually think Eddie Howe, even if he loses the derby, will be all right. I think they'll say. I think what they're more likely to say to him is, "You've got to the end of the season to just show us what you did last year. It doesn't matter what you do, just show us what you did last year." And I think that'll be...
Especially when last year was...
Yeah. And honestly, genuinely think the club would just take European places of any nature.
I agree.
On the Amazon documentary, they all acknowledged that they expect a drop-off, which is why obviously they wanted to bring in the signings, whatever. They've got to take their share of the blame in terms of the recruitment over the summer as well. So there's some self-reflection there. But also, they wouldn't have thought, that left winger that were bought being out for half a season with a broken toe, the centre midfielder that were bought out with a gambling ban for the entire season, and plus the rest of the injuries. So
here's my asterisk to that. I don't want Eddie Howe at all sacked. At all. I want him to be here until I'm really old, and I'm old already. However, if we don't get a result of Liverpool, I don't think Sunderland matters. I don't. I think I don't think it matters. But let's say we didn't, right? It's 1-7 now, right? And you've got Liverpool, Sunderland, Man City, Villa.
Yep.
So if you're talking 1-11, say, right? Let's just be the worst case scenario that's coming here.
That Pardew banner's going to come back out.
No, well, if you don't think there'll be conversations or there'll be people asking questions, you're insane. You can't, at this level, win 1-11 and not have a question. Now, I'm forecasting ridiculously.
I think Liverpool away is the wrong game for that conversation, though. Like, how many times have we beaten Liverpool away in our lifetimes? Once?
I know. No, I'm not. I do not want Eddie Howe sacked. I want no conversation of any board member speaking to Eddie Howe at all. But you can't
make the decision.
You can't go 1-11, man. If that happened, because Villa's going to be really tough. Really tough.
Yeah.
City, which then again it's at home, and we do all right against them at home, if I'm being honest with you. So you never know. We'll give them a game. We'll hopefully have players back. We'll have a few rested. He's had a chance to train with them properly, and do you know what it is? We might shock everyone and shock us.
It's
and
Newcastle United.
That's Newcastle United.
Dr. Newcastle United.
Never
We can
back
do it.
the tune.
We can do it.
Never bet on them at
And we'll
all.
we'll hopefully beat Sunderland anyway. But all I'm
I
saying
love
is,
how you changed what you were going to say there.
even if I did, didn't I? Yeah. But even if we beat Sunderland, but we'll lose against Liverpool, Man City, Villa, I'm telling you now, they'll still be looking at that going, hang on, that's like what, 2 wins in 11?
Yeah, it's not great.
It's not great. Like, it's not great. And you know, I'm not saying they will, because I absolutely agree with what you're saying there. There's been nothing that they've done to say they're knee jerky or they'll react. And I agree with you 100%. And he'll be fine. All I'm saying is that there might be the odd whisper from someone going, hang on a second here.
Yeah.
1-11 or 2-11, you know what I mean? It's tough. It's really tough. And I hate how we've got these run of fixtures coming. Hate it.
Yeah.
Hate it.
They're coming at the wrong time.
And I hate it for him. I hate it
again,
for Powell.
those run of fixtures would be fine if we pick up result against Luton and Nottingham Forest.
Absolutely right, of course.
That's
of
the
course.
issue. It was Bessie that mentioned it once before. It's always the end of the form what everybody's going to look at. Yes, you could have a great start, but then let's say if we then go and win against Liverpool, everybody forgets what's just happened
100%.
against Luton and Forest. If you then go and lose against Liverpool and lose against Sunderland,
I find that
huge.
more and more with modern day football, if you like that. Like, look at Man United come back yesterday, and I'm saying Man United's
They
back.
were great
Are
second
they
half.
back? I'm thinking, hang on a second, they've been getting slagged off for about 10 years, feels.
Yeah.
And they've had a fantastic
Well,
second half.
shocking first half, great second half.
Unbelievable second half,
Yeah.
right? But you can't have one good 45 minutes, but that is today's football, and you're absolutely right that if we went and got even a point say against Liverpool, near one remembers the what do you call it, the Boxing Day performance, or if you won especially. But I will. But, you know, it's like, it's football, it's so fickle, And again, none of us want Eddie Howe to be sacked, but it's just this awful run of these next 4 games. One of them in particular, really, it's a lower opposition team, so you shouldn't really be complaining, but we are because we're not complaining, but it's going to be a tough one because of the ask, you know, the derby. But I just worry a bit. I just feel that performance on Boxing Day was really worrying in the fact that it was so unlike an Eddie Howe side. That was it for me. Botman, and I appreciate this is another thing. People go, well, Botman's on the day and Burns back, and everything's fine. He's playing, but none of them are now they're back, but they're not back. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
Burns already said he's coming. Longstaff, to be fair, came back early. He doesn't look the same player. Burns doesn't look the same player. Botman didn't look the same player yesterday. He didn't.
But he looked all right in the first half. The second half, he was mush.
Once any opposition, because let's be fair here, and I said this even when we were good, our defence is very slow.
It is.
Just if you didn't believe it, just think of the names in your head. Burn, Christ. Botman's not the quickest, but he's
not.
because he's so
clever,
good defensively. He's clever, and you know what I mean.
Aye.
There was a few times in the first half, I feel like I'm bashing Burn, but he last minute sliding tackles. That's because he's so out of position. He hasn't got the pace to get back, and Shea's not the quickest either. And when he thinks he's at number 10 in the centre midfielder, you're in even
He's
more
quick
trouble.
on the ball, isn't he? He's quick. Fabian Schär's one of
brilliant.
the players that's quick dribbling and really slow off it.
He's brilliant on the ball. Like, man, I don't know where you were sitting yesterday, but did you see when we got a throw in? And as usual, nobody wanted to move. So Trippier just give it to Shea, and Shea just absolutely shinned it. Just shinned it out of play, and he just walked away in the utmost disgust. Honestly, and Trippier was trying to shout at him and go, like, saying something, he just would not turn around. He just walked away as if to go, why you give me that ball there? Because he just shinned it out of play. And it was awful. It was amateurish to say the least, but yeah.
It was a frustrating day. It really
was
was
awful.
a frustrating day on the back of a frustrating run of form as well. And that's what we'll have to put it down.
I
Hopefully,
thought we were going to
can
put
be
it right,
fixed.
you know. I thought because the Luton game was terrible, and I thought, hopefully we've got a home game, we're home forms, we're invincible.
When we go 1-0 up, we're normally
1-0
going
up.
then
Yeah,
smash
and
teams early
also,
on.
I'm sure there's I can't remember exactly what the stat was, but when we go 1-0 down, there was a stat about how we just don't come back this season. Nottingham Forest was even worse.
Well,
Don't
They
Newcastle?
could have beat were 5-1.
oh, it's true. They chant. They were good fans then, by the way. They were good crack. I don't know if you could hear them from where you were.
No.
They were funny. Like, a lot of mine, they were kicking off where I was, but they're having a great day, man. And they were singing some really funny stuff. Like, there was my favourite one. I think was where you must be shite. We're winning away or something like that. Brilliant. That was brilliant.
How Chris Wood scored a hat trick, man.
Oh, his two
he took
goals.
them well as well.
Scored more goals for Forest at St James's than he did for the two.
He took them well.
I think he scored 1 in 20 for us, and he scored 3 in 35 minutes. Insane, that, isn't it?
He had a great game, he did.
Oh, he was amazing. We
First
couldn't
one,
allow
right
him.
place, right time. Second one, just great team goals, and he finishes them so well.
The chip was amazing, absolutely brilliant.
I mean, Dan Burn, awful defending again. Like
He looked quicker. He looked quicker than I ever thought he was. But then again, I say that so slow, man.
He did. Looking the wrong way when the ball's goal side. Sorry, looking the wrong way while the ball's goal side of him, and then he's got Trippier and Botman on his left, and he decides to commit instead of taking a step into that path forward to force him inside where there's more bodies.
Right.
Like, it's all about containment in 1v1 situations, and he's a professional footballer. I'm sure he absolutely knows this. Doesn't need Divvy on a podcast saying it out loud. But it's just, why do it? And then again, doesn't help when your goalkeeper turns his head away from the ball
Yeah, he
because he's
turned
scared.
his head,
Oh, nah.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's just put that one to bed. We're not going to forget it, but we're just going to put it at the back of our memories at this moment in time. Fingers.
Can you remember when we beat
crossed.
PSG 4-1?
And that was lovely.
decent. That was quality. That one.
lovely.
That seems like years ago.
It was
doesn't
lovely
it,
that.
though?
Oh,
was lovely.
what a night.
We'll get back to that.
Yeah, we will. By the way, we'll be fine. It's just been a bad, rocky period.
It is. Thanks everybody who has been watching live. It has been a pleasure as always. If you do like this video, just like it. That's all we ask for. Become a member if you want to do so. It is just $2.99 a month. You get early access to videos. You get extra videos. You get access to the Telegram group. It was all kicking off in there yesterday as well with people disagreeing. So if you just want to go and watch that for entertainment, it's $2.99
It's sad,
a month.
isn't it? That it's just
It's
not
difference
good.
in opinions,
I know,
and people just
I know.
don't like other people's
Our
thoughts.
group's
Because
the same, right?
Same as it. Ours is exactly the same. We've only got 14. There's 200 of them in there.
All the best.
So yeah,
Royal
jump
Rumble.
in there, see what's happening there. If you're listening to the audio as well, just give us a 5-star rating as well. It means a lot to us and helps us out massively. Any final words from you two?
I met Nuno after the game,
Did you?
the manager, and I shook his hand and I said, "Well played," and he was a lovely man, very lovely. I think he was going for a secret piss around the corner, but anyway, it was honestly truthfully, I met him after the game and he was lovely. He was really nice and he's very nice.
Lovely man. Anything then, Neon?
How in?
How in?
How in?
Those
How
are the
in.
last few comments as well. How in? Just to clarify, we do not want Eddie Howe sacked.
No,
We do not. Okay?
ever.
Jose
Never.
Mourinho instead of Jason Tyndall, though. Yeah, is that being started? Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
Cheers, everyone.
Ta-ra.
How in?